Welcome to episode 127 of Star Wars and Scotch, which will probably be the longest episode we have ever done and the most jam-packed episode we will do until April of 2025 live from Tokyo.
Oh
I think
God.
it's Tokyo. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
it's Tokyo.
It's Tokyo, all right?
They just said Japan.
Yeah, it just said Japan.
We're going to Japan, Kevin!
I know, and we're going this time.
We have to go. There's no
Plenty
excuse.
of time to plan it out. Like, there's no excuse. So, wow, so much in this episode. So buckle up, grab a drink. You might want to bring a meal, pack rations, because we are on the long journey to cover all things Star Wars Celebration and then the newest episode of The Mandalorian. Thankfully, there's no Bad Batch this week for us.
Oh my God, that would have been terrible.
Cancel all my meetings.
Yeah, between Celebration and Mando, there's so much. So
yeah. I also unwittingly got my Star Wars tattoo, as you can see. Well, if you're listening, it is Han's Blaster, which is I'm sorry, Tim, what is it?
The DL-44.
The DL-44. Which someone jokingly said on one of the comments of the pictures, they're like, hey, Kevin, what's the blaster called? I was like, touche. But it says, never tell me the odds with some banners. And everyone has loved it so far. And I didn't book the appointment on day one of Celebration on purpose. I was actually supposed to go the day before, and everything got screwed up in my schedule. So I ended up going on Celebration to get a Star Wars tattoo. The stars just aligned. So the metrics on those pictures across socials were pretty high because of those hashtags. So thanks, Celebration.
Nice job.
But cool. Let's jump into it. King's Coast coffee right here. Tim's got his. I got mine. You should have yours.
I've got a double shot of bow breaker espresso in my winter wave. Just doubling up on the King's Coast today, dude.
You're gonna need it. Yeah, I am drinking Mayday as I do mostly.
Very nice.
Yeah. Which has a new bag, by the way. If you haven't seen.
Yeah, we went and saw Trevor, and he came to play with the A's against the Rays.
He didn't play. He was hanging out.
He got to hang out and watch his team play against the Rays.
Well, his team. I don't know if his team played against the Rays, but they were there.
His team showed up and said hello to the Rays.
They lost 11-0 2 nights in a row.
So bad.
And then
we had a great time.
So the bullpen at Trop is on the side of the field. It's like one of the old school bullpens. It's not in the outfield. So you can actually like go yell at the players. So Tim, we were sitting on the first base side. Theirs is on third base side. We walked all around. Tim went down to the bullpen area, and I wasn't there because I was holding his beer up at the top. It wasn't our seats, and then I just see him yelling, "Trevor!"
I was like, "Trevor!"
And then Trevor turned around. And you said he had the most like defeated look on his face.
Yeah, he just looked at me. He was just like, "I'll call you later." I was like, "Okay, bye."
So, yeah,
good times. Had a great time this weekend. So while some of you went to Celebration, we went and watched baseball.
We watched baseball, and kingscoastcoffee.com. Get yours. The cafe has the new spring menu too. So if you're in the Long Island area, it's a great time to head out to the cafe. Cafe's been jam-packed lately. My God.
Perfect. Good. Keep it packed.
It's been awesome. So thank you for hanging out at King's Coast. We appreciate you. And GCX tickets are on sale. We started the announcements. Creator apps are open. 2 announcements coming this week. I think one actually drops today, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, she's waiting for a final approval on something. But it's on their side, not ours.
Yes. Just waiting.
We're done.
Is a good one. This is an exciting one.
We're done. It's on their side, not ours.
Okay.
They're trying to.
God damn it.
We need their marketing team to say, "Yay, you can do that." So, just stay tuned for announcements because we're going to be announcing creators that'll be joining us there. We're going to be announcing where the after party will be this year. We're going to be announcing some of the stuff on the floor and on the stages. So, cool.
Stay tuned.
Cool.
Let's get into it, Kevin.
Tuned. GCXevent.com/tickets. So we kicked off Star Wars Celebration in London this weekend. As jam-packed as it was, I also thought it was a bit light. Did you feel the same way too?
I felt it was very light as far as like if it wasn't for our friends that were doing an amazing job of covering it like via tweets and like TikTok videos and stuff, I probably would have missed a lot of it because there was a lot of panels that of course were like BCD. that you wouldn't know unless you went and saw it. And there was a lot of announcements that they kind of threw up on social media, but they weren't like big and heavy like the content creators were making them out to seem. So yeah, I made a tweet about the lack of video game presence in Celebration, which I was really disappointed by. We still have a lot of unknowns. Last year they had a Lucas Games like panel, and this year they didn't have any type of gaming panel. They had a Lucas publisher panel, but that publisher panel was mostly on like comics and books, and everything else that Lucas is working on sans video games, which I was kind of disappointed on. Where you've got the, was that Paul coming through the, Paul, did you side your microphone?
Paul's definitely not muted.
That threw me off so much. I just heard.
It's like, wow, Kevin Hill.
Where was I? Shit, I don't even remember. Oh yeah, video game.
Talking about the Lucasfilm panel and all that
Lucasfilm
stuff.
Oh yeah, okay. Games. So Star Wars Celebration was presented by Survivor, which is you know the big Star Wars video game of the year right now, but there's still nothing else. Like we still have the Switch game Hunters that like no one knows what's going on with that game. It should have come out a while ago. So it's just like that was probably my biggest disappointment coming out of Celebration was just the lack of video game coverage.
They didn't even mention the Old Republic remake. So in my mind, it's
dead. It has to be dead, right? It's gone.
Yeah. That's my guess. And unfortunately, I hate to say that, but usually, you know, the next announcement cycle is D23, and they don't talk about video games at D23.
That's September, right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while they'll do it. Like they did Battlefront. They showcased the Battlefront PlayStation, the one that I have here, the Darth Vader Collector's Edition. They did that at D23 one year, but yeah, I'm really worried for the future of Star Wars video games.
Now, the debut of that trailer, if I'm not mistaken, was Game Awards 2 Game Awards, not last year, the year before, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, there could be something at Game Awards this year, but I'm of the mind that that project is dead. We haven't heard updates on it. I know a new studio took it on, but unfortunately, I think it's dead. So is what it is. I'm sure at some point somebody will pick it up. I would just, you know, please, Mickey Mouse, if you could not wait till I'm in my 60s to let me play that, that'd be awesome. Thanks. But at the moment, I'm pronouncing it. We're calling it. It's flatlining on the table, in my opinion. So
gone
is what it is. But what we did get was a litany of information on Disney Plus, the future of cinema. So much. So we have broken our show notes up into each category. We'll talk about each thing they announced. Some of the trailers were bootlegged, so we can't really
more BCD stuff like last year.
Wink wink, a nod's as good as a wink to a blind bat situation. Come on. But the biggest thing that came out of it was Ahsoka. We saw the trailer for Ahsoka. It debuted a ton of characters that we know from Rebels. So we got the tease a few weeks ago when Zeb showed up in The Mandalorian. We get Sabine in this trailer. Natasha Liu Bordizzo. I'm sorry if I'm saying her last name wrong, but she looks incredible for Sabine.
Yeah.
I don't think when I saw her casted, I was like, okay, I'm into this, but I want to see with the colored hair and the whole thing. Nailed it. Yep. Also, what I noticed with Sabine is the way she addresses Ahsoka. She says it's been a while. So how much time has passed from the conclusion, which is the fall of the Empire in Return of the Jedi, to where we meet up with Ahsoka again in the show? 5 years?
5 years.
So it's directly plugged into Mando timeline.
Yes.
Okay. So 5 years later, they haven't seen each other over the course of this time.
So the only reason I can say that with confidence is because of today's episode.
Yep, the one line, which we'll get to at the end of this episode. We're going to cover Mandalorian at the end. Yeah, the one line in the beginning with the Shadow Council. I already know what Tim knows I'm going to say about that, but we'll get to that later. So we also see Chopper in the trailer, which is awesome.
Hera
but we've seen Chopper we've seen Chopper live action cameo already. I think it was in, I forget what it was in. It was in
we had
something.
Chopper actually come onto stage in Celebration last year.
Was that it? I remember
Chopper,
seeing him.
they showcased all of the droids. They had like R2, BDO, they had BB1, like BB8, like I had all of those. They all came out on stage, which was pretty cool.
I mean, either way, Chopper looked amazing.
He looks awesome.
Hera.
Did you know that that's Ewan McGregor's wife?
That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
How crazy is that, dude? She gets to be Hera. He's Obi-Wan. It's so awesome.
Ewan McGregor's entire family is now in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
his
daughter was in there with him and Obi-Wan. So cool. That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Did you see the shot? And I think it was only from Celebration of Sabine holding her Mandalorian armor.
No.
Okay, so if you go on in the show notes, if you click on the main Volk link that I sent you,
yeah,
and then click the learn more about Ahsoka and scroll down, you'll see a still image. I think they were showing it on the stage. I wasn't able to sit through all the panels because I had stuff going on this weekend.
Yeah.
So I was getting yelled at by my wife because I'm sitting.
Oh wow, that looks so good.
I'm like sitting there on my phone. We're like out doing things. And she's
that
like,
looks
watching?
Amazing. I wonder if we can just put a video pop up here. This looks so good.
I said to my wife, I was like, it's Star Wars Celebration this weekend. You wouldn't let me go to London because it was Easter. I'm watching it. So I watched as much as I could. So Hera is played by Ewan McGregor's wife. Tim and I had this conversation over the weekend, and it's like you see Hera, and you're like, okay, that's not the best looking Twi'lek I've ever seen. But at the same time, it is Hera, and it looks like Hera, and it feels like Hera. Mm-hmm. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out and understand the character coming to life better. So I withhold all reservation and judgment. I'm really excited as Obi-Wan's wife. Like, it feels like a keep it in the family moment, like Star Wars family. But the biggest surprise, actually, before I do that, we do see a holographic image of Ezra. It's been confirmed that that's Ezra in the holograph. Yeah. It's Ezra, plain as day, but that's all we get of Ezra. Mon Mothma shows up in the trailer of this too.
She does. So the one thing that we talked about this on the stream with Ezra, and everyone's like, oh, so I already found Ezra. And I'm like, no, I think what that is that Sabine is being a really, like, she's just being a sad girl. And she's like, I miss my boyfriend. And so she's she's sitting like, where are you, Ezra? I wish I could find you. Like, I think there's gonna be a little bit of teen romance there, just a little bit. And so like that's the whole
Sabine
thing. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be like, we're still like they're still looking for Ezra. They haven't found him yet.
They brought back Morgan Elsbeth, who we know from Mandalorian season 2. That's who Ahsoka. Does she kill her? No, because she's alive in this, which would be
she
after.
Leaves her,
so no.
She leaves her alive.
Yeah, so
because the scene is where is your master? Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn? And then we leave it there.
Yeah. So Morgan Elsbeth shows up in this. And the little bit of history we got is that Morgan Elsbeth was instrumental in building the Imperial fleet with Thrawn and with Palpatine.
And her father and her family comes from a longer line of like sympathizers and whatnot.
Yeah, they're Imperial sympathizers. We'll save the other two characters for the end because that plays heavy into our theory crafting on this. But the biggest surprise and delight was indeed the confirmation that Lars Mikkelsen will be playing Grand Admiral Thrawn. He walked out on the stage. That crowd went nuts.
Of course they did. Why wouldn't they?
So did I in my kitchen.
I freaked out, dude.
Like, Star Wars fans are very outspoken, as are most passionate fans of any fandom. Mm-hmm. Star Wars fandom right now is very, you're either on one side or the other. And there's people that hate for the sake of hating. And then there's people that also just will make every excuse possible, even when Disney makes a bad decision. Regardless of where you stand on this, you have to admit one thing and one thing only. Disney listened to the fan base on this one. If you listen to the interview with Lars Mikkelsen, he says, I was hired about a year and a half ago. What was a year and a half ago? When we were all screaming and yelling about who should be playing Grand Admiral Thrawn.
We were so pissed because there was the rumors that he wasn't going to get the part because of that YouTube video that he did. Because of that weird little sideshow piece that he did for like the Star Wars fan video. And there was rumors that because he did that, he like Disney didn't like it because it wasn't sanctioned, and so he lost his running for being Thrawn, and everyone threw a fit.
So Thrawn, we see the back of his head in the trailer. The folks, if you went to Star Wars Celebration, you got to see him. I have not seen him yet. I haven't been able to find that video.
Showed him in full costume.
They showed
Shut
him from the
up.
front at Celebration. If you were there, I have looked for that one. I have not been able to find that one. I'm sure that's one that's getting DMCA'd hard right now.
All right. You want to talk about this scene?
Which scene, Tim?
So we'll talk about the Thrawn, the them highlighting Thrawn. So
sure.
So it opens up, the doors open, and then you see the back of his head. That is not an Imperial Star Cruiser at all. That's not a destroyer. That's not a light frigate. That's nothing. That deck has no form of Imperial design at all. So I think what's going to happen is that's going to be the first time that we get to see a Chiss warship. I think that's the bridge of a Chiss ship of some sort because it looks so different. But the other really cool thing about it is it was all controlled by robots too. And Thrawn loves robots. So I'm really, really curious to see, is that a Chiss warship or is it another alien race that maybe he allies up with in the chaos? But I have so many questions about just like that little part of like, how does Thrawn end up from getting sucked in through space to there? And there's a lot because there's so many questions that have no answers. We are still in the dark with all of this progression from the end of Rebels to where we find ourselves in Ahsoka. It's crazy.
So, like, skimming through the trailer real quick, a few things that I picked up on. The opening scene when she's walking through the ruins. When I yelled in Mandalorian about what Tython should look like in ruins.
Yeah,
and it wasn't just a hill in the middle of nowhere. That's what it would look like to me in ruins. Even then, it's not as like woodsy and dense, but if you bomb the hell out of a planet, it would probably look like that.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's Tython. I'm just saying.
No, not at all. I think that's going to be a planet we've never seen before. But this trailer definitely focuses heavy on and we haven't even gotten to Balin and all of those guys yet. But like this trailer definitely focuses heavy on where we left off with Ahsoka and Ezra with this world between worlds, this veil, this middle ground area that we didn't really get to learn much about other than knowing that you can interact with time.
Tim, there's a shot, if you freeze frame the trailer at 104, there's a shot of the same bridge from that ship with Morgan Elsbeth standing on it. And it looks, I can't even tell what the symbol is on the floor. It doesn't look Imperial.
Yeah, we looked at that symbol for a little bit too, and it didn't look like the Ascendancy emblem. And it might be a different house symbol, but I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look. I need to look down at if anyone did any like breakdowns and see if someone figured out what that sigil is.
Yeah. So getting into Balin, but segueing this, there is this Balin and his what we assume is his apprentice, Sakno. No, that's her name. Shin, Balin and Shin. Ivana Sakno is the actress. Balin and Shin are what appear to be Dark Jedi. If you recall from Heir to the Empire, we had a Dark Jedi in Heir to the Empire. They mentioned the phrase Heir to the Empire in this trailer. Yep. And then today's episode of Mandalorian furthered that statement even more. Go ahead.
I'm really confused with where they're going, though.
I am too, because it doesn't line up, because that Grand Admiral Thrawn from Heir to the Empire is not the Grand Admiral Thrawn we know in current Disney canon. They're two very different characters, albeit the same.
Yeah.
With two very different paths. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So which is interesting, though, because it's all Timothy Zahn. So
that's the whole thing, is Zahn created all of this. And so if they aren't leaning on Zahn to continue developing this story, it would blow my mind. Like he just literally just finished up the Ascendancy trilogy. So it's like, it'd be crazy for them not to bring him in for the writing. But the Dark Jedi, I didn't really know much about them, but they're really cool. And they're chaotic. They're very much so like the characters that I enjoy, like these chaotic neutral kind of characters where they used to be Jedi, but they realized that the dark side isn't like this evil pathway, and they can utilize it in a different form than how the Sith go about using it. So they're kind of like gray Jedi, but leaning a little bit more to the dark side, which
You had
I really like.
That's essentially what it is. If you had a scale, it was like Jedi, gray Jedi, dark Jedi, Sith.
Yeah,
That's kind of how it
that's why
works.
I think they're a little more like chaotic neutral, where they're kind of like they're in the middle, but they're a little more aggressive than that. And the lightsabers are confirmed. When we saw the trailer, everyone was like, "Are those orange? That's weird." And a lot of people are saying that it's because that they are bleeding a kyber crystal and it hasn't bled all the way through. And Filoni even said that they made the lightsabers look more orange on purpose.
Yeah, that makes sense from the standpoint. You know, I made a joke online because at first when I was watching it on my phone, so I could only see it looked like off red.
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
looked like
okay.
just like an orange color.
Then now it looks very orange when you watch it on a much higher resolution. And what's interesting is, and I made the joke online, is I was like, oh, my Sith and SWOTOR has this. Like literally, that's the same color lightsabers I have. In
Yeah.
that's old canon, so a Legends canon, so it's not bleeding or anything. You just get a kyber crystal, pop it in, it's
Right.
gonna
You
give you
get an
that color.
orange crystal. Yeah.
Right. In Disney canon, it's way different.
Yep.
So I like the concept of it not being bled, or that, you know, the heinous acts that you need to commit with a red lightsaber, make it red. But in this case, you know, they've done some shit, but it's not as bad as so
They're
it's
like the
weird that,
Jokers of the Star Wars universe, apparently. You're like, I don't like what they're doing, but I kind of agree with it.
yeah, and it makes sense too with Ahsoka purifying a red kyber crystal. It's all kind of the same vibe. Like
Yeah.
they react to the user almost, which is pretty cool. But what I wanted to bring up was there's a shot of Balin and Ahsoka, and they're in this space. We don't know what it is, and it's like got stars and things on that.
I
And
think we do know what that is, Kevin.
there's two prevailing theories. One, it seems like Ahsoka is looking for something
Yes.
throughout this entire journey. Not necessarily Grand Admiral Thrawn. Could be Grand Admiral Thrawn, but not necessarily just that. If you go back to the Old Republic games, when you would find a star map, you had to find 4 to find the Star Forge. They looked like this. You would press it on, and it would consume most of the room in this holographic image of the star map that looked just like that. So that was one theory. The other theory is what we know from Rebels, where Ahsoka can travel through the Veil of the Force, just like Palpatine. If you don't know what the Veil of the Force is, and you haven't watched Rebels, the Veil of the Force is essentially what links time and space together through the Force.
Okay, hold on, wait. Can are we confirming that she can do it, or that she has gone through it?
She has gone through it.
Okay,
we know
'cause,
Palpatine has a
he
method to do it.
He can do it, yeah, most definitely, and I think that plays into more what we're talking about with Mando. But like something happened between her and Ezra, which allowed him to reach in and pull her through.
Right.
So
she
like,
has done it.
yeah. I
So
just
she
want to
knows
make
it
sure it was
exists.
clarified.
She knows it exists at minimum. My thought there, and again, furthering that, if you don't fully understand, it's you can go through time. And in Rebels, they do have a situation that involves time. And then others have theorized it could also lead to a Star Wars multiverse where Legends exists over here, Disney's version exists over here. Well, there's also 3 different layers of Legends. So essentially, there's a Star Wars multiverse as well. So that's what the Veil of the Force is. So it's got to be one of those 2 things, in my opinion. It's either a star map of some sort leading to something that she's looking for, or her and Balin are in the Veil of the Force, which would just blow open the doors of Star Wars lore, theory, you name it. Like we are on, if that's the Veil of the Force, we are on a whole new journey than we could have ever anticipated, in my opinion.
So I'm gonna go with your original theory that it's a star map because it looks very similar to like the one that R2 brings up when they're looking for Luke. It also makes a lot of sense if you look at that scene and you start to look around the perimeter of where they're standing and when they're talking to each other. That scene is also really interesting. I'll bring that up in a second. But if you look, there's a lot of excavation hardware that's around the perimeter. So it's like there was a dig site. It was an Imperial dig site, perhaps, of some sort. So maybe that ties in with Thrawn. Perhaps he's also looking for something. But in that scene that you're talking about, when you see Ahsoka with Balin, it's really interesting because one, she doesn't have both lightsabers. She has one lightsaber. She also uses a stance that you don't ever see her use. She goes into a heavy stance, very much like in Japanese sword wielding when she puts the sword out like kendo. she puts that in front of her, and she takes this heavy stance, and you see her like kick off the back wall, and it was very not Ahsoka style. So I thought that was really interesting as well. And I'm really curious as to like why does she end up like just changing the complete way as to how she fights as a Jedi. So I thought that was really, really neat. I'm sure that means absolutely nothing, but I like honed in on that for some reason. So
Yeah. It's I'm looking at it now. I'm just sizing it up again.
it's such a great
Yeah.
trailer. We watched it like 3 times on stream and just like broke it down. It's so good.
Also, the folks that Ahsoka's fighting in the ruins towards the end of the trailer,
The robots?
yeah, they look like droids, but they don't look like Imperial droids.
No, it's something completely different. And I wonder if those are the droids that were fighting with Thrawn. I think we kind of saw something similar to these guys in Mando.
Yeah.
Remember those droids that were hopping around from rooftop to rooftop?
Yeah. We also see another Dark Jedi with a helmet. I don't know if that's Shin with a helmet on or if it's a
No,
different one.
it looks different. It looks like a smaller character, but
So I'm wondering if Balin has like a little following.
I mean, it almost looks like an Inquisitor lightsaber.
Well, the
So if you
Sith,
just
no, that one's orange too. You can tell.
no, but if you freeze frame it, it's an Inquisitor.
Let me see.
It has a lightsaber. It has an inquisitorial lightsaber.
Yeah, it does have the circular bit.
Yep.
So maybe it's like a redeemed.
So I think it's
Inquisitor.
I think it's just an Inquisitor that's coming after her. It would make sense for the Inquisitor program to get booted back up. There's Jedi still around. They just dealt with.
I'm wondering though if it introduced a new force wielding sect. Dark Jedi being introduced into. Well, I mean, Dark Jedi were part of the Old Republic, so that's not new. But like reviving, the Sith, like, well, we're not doing the rule of two. It's not about power and domination, things like that. But we will use the dark side of the Force to achieve our agenda type of situation.
Yeah, we've got three stories going on essentially. We've got like Ahsoka and her band of merry rebels, and then we've got Balin and Shin and whatever they're doing, and then we've got Thrawn with what he's doing. So like, how do these three forces all come together, and where is the overarching story going to lead us? Is it going to lean? Is Thrawn going to be like this thing that kind of pops in and out of the story as we go along? Is he going to be the main antagonist? Or is it going to be Balin? Is it going to be both of them? Are they working together? Is this all separated by whatever? Like, I feel like Thrawn has no business to deal with the Dark Jedi. But in Heir to the Empire, he goes and seeks out the Dark Jedi to convince them to fight for him. So now, this is where I start to get very, very confused with the Thrawn that we have now versus the Thrawn from EU. And how do we bring them both together for them to kind of make sense with Zahn's writing already?
Now, Joruus is the Dark Jedi. I had to go do a refresher because I haven't read that book in like 20 years.
I downloaded it. Apparently, Mark Thompson they did a 20th anniversary of Heir to the Empire. So you can go and like listen to him do the Thrawn voices and shit.
So if I don't have enough things to read right now.
I found it yesterday.
So Joruus in Heir to the Empire, remember that the big argument back in the day was he actually a Dark Jedi?
Yeah.
It was more of him being a little unhinged. He was not right.
He's kind of like Khan from Star Wars or Star Trek.
Yeah. So I don't think Balin is Joruus. I know people have said that. I'm like, no, I don't. Balin's probably a new character. He might have some characteristics that Joruus had, but he doesn't seem like Joruus. When I read that book, I remember the mental image was like, this is an old crazy man. Yeah. Joruus reminded me more of what's his face, who we fight on Dathomir in Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, yeah.
Than Balin. That guy reminded me a lot of Joruus.
That guy was a crazy zealot. He kind of like he got unhinged. He spent way too much time on Dathomir.
But that's what Joruus is like in the Heir to the Empire book. So.
Yeah, but Balin, he for me, when I saw Balin, I thought he was the Eternal Emperor. I was like, holy crap, this guy looks just like him, like from the cinematic trailers, like the beard and everything. The armor looked really good.
So yes, Joruus reminds me, Balin doesn't really remind me of Joruus. It seems to be. We'll get characteristics of that. What was that guy's name in the game. I can't remember his Taron Malicos.
Malicos. Yeah, there you go.
I pulled that one out of my ass.
Yeah,
Jeez.
no, that was it. Good job, Kevin.
Oh, I was thinking of the health bar. Taron Malicos reminds me more of Joris than Balin, but obviously the only sampling we have of Balin is, less than a few seconds. Mm-hmm. What's funny is I'm watching when I'm working out, I'm watching Rome, the old HBO show. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I have no idea what that is.
It's like 15 years old, and that actor's in it. So when I saw him on screen, I was like, whoa. It's you again. He's good. He's in a lot of, like, he was in the King Arthur movie. He played one of the knights in that. So
the guy who plays Balin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does look a little familiar.
He's been in
his armor. His armor looks so cool. It looks so old. I want to know more about him.
You would definitely be a Dark Jedi.
I would. Sure. I most definitely would.
For sure.
My kind of people.
Last thing I want to ask you on Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Before we move on to other stuff.
Sure.
Is the phrasing at the end, like the droid that says perhaps it's time to begin again, and the way they say that she's a rebel, she's an outcast, and then they say she's a Jedi, when she has clearly said in Rebels, I am no Jedi.
Yeah. Is
this some sort of like redemption to the Jedi Order? I think that would kind of kill the point of Ahsoka.
Yeah, so we talked about this on stream, and I don't think Hu Yang is talking to Ahsoka. I think he's talking to Luke. It's the only thing that would make sense. Or they introduce Mara Jade, or one of those characters from Heir to the Empire. But he's not talking to Ahsoka. I don't think he's talking to Ahsoka. There would be no reason. She has definitely made it very clear that she has nothing. She wants nothing to do with the Jedi Order.
Would Ezra be a part of Luke's new Jedi Order?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
Why wouldn't he? He was one of the last apprentices to be trained by an actual, like, real Jedi Knight.
And Kanan. You think
remember Kanan was one of the last ones from Order 66.
You think we get a Freddie Prinze Jr. flashback?
Why wouldn't we, dude? I don't think Freddie Prinze Jr. would be the best Kanan Jarrus, but I mean, like, it'd be pretty sick if he showed up as a cameo. Like, that
has to be Kanan Jarrus.
I mean, I don't know if he, like, I mean, could you imagine Freddie Prinze Jr. with, like, long hair? But also he buzzes it at the end. So I mean, like, FPJ could come in with a buzzed haircut, all charred up and still kind of burning from when we last saw him. You don't know.
Even as a Force Ghost too.
Yeah, I mean, him showing up as a Force Ghost to Ezra would make so much sense.
Or to Hera, could you imagine him, like, showing up like Ghost the movie?
If we don't get to see a little Kanan Hera kid, like, oh my god, because we see him at the end of you see him at the end of Rebels flying co-pilot with Hera.
Yeah, we'll see the child. I'm not worried about that.
I'd like to see the baby.
I would like to see the baby. Moving along.
Yeah, dude.
Unless there's anything else you want to say about it.
Honestly, I think, like, getting to see Hu Yang in live action versus only seeing him in animated, pretty sick. We know that this is the guy who has all the lightsabers and, like, all that stuff, like, in his brain, which is really, really cool. Dark Jedi, Thrawn, Ahsoka, looking for Ezra. I feel like we covered everything, Kevin. I mean, like, it comes out in August. I think it's the last thing to say is that this is in August, and we could potentially have the first episode drop during GCX. So I hope you're ready for that, Kevin. That's all I have to say.
Save me.
On to the next one.
I don't even know how to record that. I will already be well.
Yeah, we're gonna be. It's gonna be great.
You know what I'm gonna have to do that day.
Oh boy, here we go.
I'm gonna have. Normally, I would go over on Tuesday. I will, because we don't set up till Wednesday. Right. I will watch the episode in the morning, record with you, and drive straight to Rosen and start setting up. Kill me.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We're not there yet. It'll be okay. Acolyte. Apparently, there was a trailer.
I mean, I saw part of it,
and I showed you part of it. It was very pirated. As a child of the 90s, I am okay with watching pirated content. It doesn't bother me. This is gonna be sick.
The dark tone is what I'm excited for.
It's perfect.
Yeah, and we already know that the High Republic is literally just these pious Jedi with this dark ass cloud over their head.
Oh yeah.
What's the plant dudes? Not the Nile, the other ones that they're
The Droon? Wait, no, that's wrong. That's
no.
no, hold on. Wait, I get no, okay,
Starts,
hold on.
the Drengir.
The Droon is from freaking that's from Kyler's Dragon show from oh my god. Anyways.
How to Train Your Dragon?
No, the other one. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
It sounds familiar. But
Raya.
Raya the Last Dragon,
Raya.
yes, the Droon.
God damn it, the Droon. I've watched way too much Raya. The Drengir.
Oh my. So the Drengir. I don't know if you saw some of the comic or the book, which we'll talk about later, the High Republic book stuff. But there's a picture of one of the Drengir, and it's like fully evolved into this like vicious thing.
I mean, they were already terrifying. So
I know, but again, I think Acolyte is going to. We will see live action Nihil. I think they're hiding them for now. We will see live action Drengir. I think they're hiding them for now. And it's just like it's fun to see the Republic like, oh, look at us all shiny. And then you read these books, they're getting planets nuked, they're getting asteroids thrown at them, they got cults everywhere. And it's not hunky-dory back then. So I'm just excited to see the Republic and the Jedi at their height. I'm using air quotes, but having to face all of these problems. And this character, this Acolyte, I'm really, really hoping is some sort of fallen Jedi. And I'm still holding out hope for I'm going to find the answers of the Sith. I want to know the mysteries of the Sith and communing, because Sith can be Force ghosts within the proximity of their body, of their grave. They are bound to that area, which is why I sent the thing to you, Tim, last week about when Filoni and Lucas axed Darth Revan and Darth Bane being on Mortis in the Mortis episodes of Clone Wars, because it would have destroyed the lore. And they had it filmed, they had it animated, they had everything done, but they knew they couldn't do it because then it would release the Sith from that.
That also gave
bondage.
Lucas. That came from Lucas, from George.
Yes, that was directly
really cool.
from George.
That was directly from George.
So he was like, "I've been thinking about this," but that's what I'm hoping this show is. Now, obviously, there's a ton of other characters. We have Lee Jung-jae, who was in
Squid Games.
Who's a Jedi Master, looks awesome.
But remember, so they talked about this, that it's all from the perspective of the dark side.
Yes.
So you have to remember that this is not going to be like a show about good guys. They wanted to tell a bad guy story. And I'm so happy that we finally get to shift the lens a little bit and get to see it from the other side. Because how many Star Wars stories you're like, oh, this could be really cool if we saw it from the Imperial side or from the Sith side. And so now we get to finally start to see that. Also, they changed the logo. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Which really threw me off, because I really liked the first one. This one's not bad, but the first one really threw me for a loop.
I'm trying. I read through everything. I'm trying to see if there was anything really interesting they said during the panel. I know there was little tidbits that people took and kind of ran with. By the way, this show comes out next year. We don't know when. It just comes out next year. My guess, if I had to guess, would be if Ahsoka is August.
Yep.
Skeleton Crew is going to hit the Andor end of year release window, where that was last year.
You think so? Do you think they're already that far along in production?
They said it later in 2023 was the exact.
Oh, I missed that part. Okay.
Yep. Which means this would fit nicely into that February, March release window that they normally have, which is what we have right now for Mandalorian, which would lead us straight into season 2 of Andor in August, and some probably final season of Bad Batch in the summer of next year, unless it's the end of next year, which at the end of next year would make way more sense, unless they're like pretty far into production now on the final season of Bad Batch. But we'll talk about that later. The whole reason I said all that was because I feel like this will be the show we're watching this time next year, is essentially what I'm getting at. So only a year left to wait. We'll probably get a much more comprehensive trailer at D23. And then, your regular cadence of marketing through the holidays. Skeleton Crew, maybe we'll have some sort of link to it in a post-credit scene, just like they did with Boba Fett. I don't know. We probably not, honestly, because it's two different time periods.
And they could do something fun where they find like a relic or something.
We'll see.
I found this really interesting. So Leslie Headland, who's the showrunner for Acolyte, confirmed that when she pitched this Star Wars show, she said it's Frozen meets Kill Bill.
Saw that quote.
Like, how crazy is that? Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around Frozen and Kill Bill. Like, is there going to be song? I really hope there's a song. There better be a song, Kevin. Could you
I don't think
imagine?
there's going to be a song, Tim.
Damn it.
It's probably more along the lines of Elsa's powers and not
Yeah, the
being
journey
okay with
through it
them.
and whatnot. Yep.
Except the ending will not be Elsa's ending.
We're gonna get a Jedi Wookiee, which is pretty cool. The same guy who's been playing Chewbacca as of late gets to come back and he gets to play Kel Naka, who is going to be our Jedi Wookiee. But the High Republic robes look awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's they've done a really good job giving the High Republic its own identity, just like the Old Republic had it back in the day.
Yeah,
the High Republic has its own identity, and it's fun to play in that because then it opens up the door, and it could be years from now, but there could be other eras within this now that we can tell stories in. So what did she say here? Here it is. This is one. Turner Smith spoke with Collider Steve Weintraub about the project, and she shared her own thoughts on why she signed on. Obviously, the subject matter is different. Exactly what Tim just said. It's different when everything that you're doing is lighthearted, and that's not what I was doing for Star Wars. But I was working with my favorite director that I've worked with so far, Congo Nada, and under the leadership of Leslie Headland. It's incredible to see. I can't wait to see how the show turns out. So they're all saying the same thing, which is essentially this will not be like the other Star Wars shows.
Yeah.
This will not be like the other Star Wars show. And you have to understand, too, that the whole point of the High Republic is to show the fall of the Republic, the decline, and meet us where we get to Revenge of the Sith, which is where everything comes unraveled and completely falls apart. Now, I have to ask in the spirit of theory crafting, Tim.
Yeah.
Do we see Plagueis?
Oh man.
The timeline's perfect.
I mean, it would be a young Darth Plagueis because remember,
there'd be no Palpatine yet
because it's 100 years before Episode 1. So, yeah, to see an early Darth Plagueis who's just kind of like starting to figure it out with his master. I forget who his master is. Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't, because you have to have a connection. You need this connection piece between then and now. And so we're going to pick up in Episode 1. And if we're going to get new stories that are the beginning of the Jedi, because that was also announced too, we're going to get a movie that covers 25,000 years before Episode 1, which is going to be the basis of Star Wars. It's going to be the biblical part of the Star Wars story. It's going to be the creation story. And so we've got that connection. Now we've got to use the High Republic to get us to the fall of the Empire, or the fall of the Republic. So yeah, for them to introduce Plagueis and then like that, then you start learning about him, and then it ties into Episode 3 when Palpatine says, "I've ever told you the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise." Like that would be perfect. It would be absolutely amazing, because then you have a callback.
Darth Tenebrous is
There we go, Tenebrous. Thank
master.
You. And Tenebrous is really cool.
He is, but his canon stuff is about this big on the Wikipedia.
Yeah, because
page.
they kill him off in the book. In Darth Plagueis, they break up Tenebrous, and Tenebrous is alive for 2 chapters, and then Plagueis kills him.
In Legends, he has a very, very long page. So when it comes to
all EU, right? He hasn't actually been confirmed in anything, right? In canon.
No. Well, he's
other than he is Plagueis' master. That is it, right? Because the Darth Plagueis book is not canon.
No, but it also confirmed that he's the designer of the scimitar, which is Maul's ship style.
Ah, okay.
Aside from that, he's one of the namesakes in the Legions of the Sith Eternal, which I think is what made him canon.
Yeah.
So that's literally it. So that door is wide open. So what if this too could be, depending on timeline, Tenebrous before Plagueis? Maybe that's who she finds. She has to find someone. Yeah, that's my whole point.
I agree with you.
Is this acolyte the journey will lead to a Sith.
Yes.
And whoever the Sith is at that time period, that's who they're going to plant the flag in and build everything around to get us to Plagueis, to get us to Palpatine. Like
Yeah.
that's where this has to go. So she has to meet a Sith at some point. It's just a matter of who and what Disney wants to do with the timeline. But once they do it, there's no turning back. Like that's your canon Sith for that time period. So Tenebris and Plagueis are the two on the table, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the High Republic hasn't done a really good job of talking about like the evil Force users in the world. They've done a lot of like with the Nihil. They've done a lot with Jedi.
They're like, they're gone.
Yeah, exactly. They're all extinct. Whereas while in the shadows, they're working on the whole basis of the rule of two. But you wouldn't know that unless you had an understanding of the Old Republic. And the Old Republic has no base now. Like the Old Republic is still in EU like mid-realm. Like there's nowhere really for us to go with that. So this essentially is going to be what establishes all of the dark user lore telling before episode 1 if we are heading on the same track that we are right now. Unless like KOTOR comes out or something else comes out about the Sith. But until that point, this is the only part that we're going to have of the starting of the new Sith order that Palpatine ends up picking up.
Well, no, we do know that Bane is canon. We do know the rule of two is canon because of Bane. So we know
because of Clone Wars, right?
That and there's in those, you know, those.
And then Yoda says there's always a master
no more,
apprentice,
no less.
No more, no less. So like those little things, but still, like, we don't have like a really good like understanding.
That book you have though, the Tales of the Sith, whatever thing that you have.
Oh yeah,
the one that has the short stories and the information in it. He's in there too.
Oh, so, okay. So then, but still, you have to go searching for all that. They haven't really brought it to light.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, remember that journal when Rise of Skywalker came out?
Oh, yeah, and you had to go decode the dagger from the journal. It's like, yeah,
awesome.
Like, no one's going to know that shit.
Love it, but let it lead somewhere and create a marketing thing.
It's great for us. It's great for people like us, but it doesn't serve anyone like our wives who like try to keep up with what's going on.
But that was the episode of Mandalorian today. I'm freaking out. I'm like, my wife's going to have no idea why I'm freaking out.
Yeah, exactly.
Episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it has to lead somewhere. It has to lead to a Sith. I'm sure at D23 we will get a full trailer. Like I'm talking a 2-minute trailer will shed some more light on it. But you know, even if that's the case, they're still going to play a lot of that close to the chest because they want moments like today's Mandalorian episode where the people who put their time in and read the comics and read everything know this is the payoff for all of my paying attention, if you will. So,
yeah.
Oh man, Acolyte. You mentioned the movies.
Yeah.
We have 3 new Star Wars movies. This also comes on the heels of a few weeks ago when Bob Iger said the only Star Wars movies that are being made moving forward are going to be meaningful and poignant to the universe. We're not just going to pump them and dump them. Like we're going to make sure they have a purpose in the larger story.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. First of all,
thanks, Bob.
So the 3 movies are broken down like this. James Mangold is making a Dawn of the Jedi movie. If you look at the Dawn of the Jedi logo on the timeline, it is the same exact logo on the floor of Luke's Jedi temple on what's the planet called where he's exiled?
Hold on. I'd have to ask Octo, because Kyler knows that. Ants. I was like, I have to go yell for Kyler real quick because that's crazy. They talk about it in one of the books.
So it's the same symbol with it kind of looks like Zepho-ish, but who knows? They could go to the story of the old Jedi, which is...
They're going to have to. They're going to have to talk about the Zepho at some point. It would make a lot of sense to put that in the creation story versus kind of just like throwing it out in the middle.
I'm still holding out hope that the Zepho were the beginning, and then the Rakata destroyed them, and then this new, which was called the Jedi back in the day, that's Legends, is what spawns the Jedi and the Sith.
And the Rakata are terrifying.
Rakata are awesome. They're
so
also
scary.
Assholes. When you meet them in any video game, none of them are ever nice, and they all try and kill you. And they talk about that's how they talk.
They look like someone that would talk like that.
Yeah, and their eyes are on the
side.
Their
eyes that stick out like octopus looking things.
So I find it interesting that not interesting, but the logos are matching up and everything. The story, in my opinion, will be what it was in Legends, where there will be some sort of order, where there is the practicing of balance, the light side, and some of them are going to be like, that's not good enough for us. We want to be in charge, and and thus begins the never-ending cycle of the story. So, and it takes place 25,000 years in the past. So we're going way back.
Really far back.
Yeah, so it's going to be a very interesting story. The next one is Dave Filoni is making a movie.
How crazy is that, dude?
New Republic era. So this is right where we are in Mandalorian right now. This is between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
Yep.
The exact quote is, "We're going to close our interconnected stories from the shows The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett."
Yep.
So everything we're seeing, everything we saw today, Dave's going to start closing the loop. And in this episode of Mandalorian, they really started to make that known that that's what they're trying to do. And Dave's going to start closing the loop on that. So we don't know what the plot is. We don't know who's going to be the main characters. I can guarantee you we will see some of our Mandalorian friends. We won't see Paz Vizsla.
Bro. Too soon.
But we will probably see a bunch of our friends. I would assume Ahsoka, like all of these characters will probably be in Dave's movie. Keep in mind, Ahsoka is Dave's character that he made. So Ahsoka is very near and dear to him. So she'll probably be in the movie. The last one was the surprise.
This one threw me for a loop.
Anyone saw this one coming. Charmin, again, I'm going to butcher her name. Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, I think is how you say it, is making a post-Rise of Skywalker movie with Daisy Ridley, who, again, marched out on that stage and got a standing ovation as she deserves. I don't care if you don't like the movies. Totally fine. I have my issues with them as well. Daisy's character was not bad, and she did not do a bad job.
No,
so just like Hayden, just like Ahmed.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
No, it's definitely the writer's
bad writing. I will say that about Joaquin Phoenix in that stupid ass Joker movie that sucked. Yeah, come at me. I know it's a hot take. That movie was horrible. Joaquin Phoenix did a phenomenal job. That's coming from a diehard Batman fan. So this takes place 15 years after the end of Rise of Skywalker. So I keep saying Daisy. Rey is trying to start a new Jedi Order. The biggest thing here, and this is how the internet exploded, aside from, the normal was, what if Grogu is involved in this story?
Yeah, dude, that's what everybody's been talking about. Yep, he would be 98 years old. Someone already did the math. He'd be 98, and Yoda started training younglings at age 100.
So he theoretically, if she is looking to rebuild the Order, she might bump into
That'd be so sad because all of his Mandalorian friends would be dead.
Not necessarily. He could be the one that is revived Mandalore, and he could be the next ruler of Mandalore.
Din would be like, if Din was in his 40s, right?
Oh, those friends. I thought you meant Mandalorian people as a whole.
I'm talking about like Din and Bo, and like they'd be old as dirt.
Or dead.
Like, how sad? Could you imagine just like old Grogu? And he's not really that old, because like 100 years for him is just like whatever. But like he's seen some shit.
The Mandalorians are like the Spartans. Like, it's not like you don't die in your bed, you die on your shield.
Yeah, 100%. Especially with how today's episode went.
I don't think they're gonna be making it to that ripe old age.
No, I don't think so either.
But that's the prevailing theory, is that, she could be rebuilding the Jedi Order, and she might bump into a new little green friend who's wielding the Darksaber at that time.
With Mandalorian armor on.
And surrounded by his
riding a mythosaur.
All right, we're almost an hour in. Normally we make our ad break around 25 minutes, but we're only about halfway done with the show. So
we'll see you on the other side.
See you on the other side of this ad break. We are back. All right, the next few things do not need a ton of speculation as opposed to the first few things, but we're going to talk about the Mandalorian episode as well. So right off the bat, Skeleton Crew. I also saw part of that trailer.
You did? I didn't know there was I didn't see it. Is it good?
Can I say out loud that I sent these both to Tim?
You did? I only saw the one.
This was like the day of. So they're probably
that got buried. Yeah, that got buried.
So it seems, this is what I'm getting. Well, first of all, it was confirmed that Jude Law is playing a Jedi.
Yeah,
which I found interesting.
And he's going to be in the care or no, he's taking care of a bunch of younglings, right? Or
We
teenagers,
think
or
he's either taking care of them or he's using them for something. We don't really know the story. There's
X-Wings,
screenshots if you want to
child
see of the
labor.
there's screenshots of the trailer in the uh thing I sent you.
Show notes?
Yeah, if you go to the article and then click
looking
it,
at it right now.
there's a tweet in there with some screenshots. So we do know that he's a Jedi. Also, one of the kids he's with has the face covering of one of my favorite races from Legends, which is the Mirluka. They're blind and they can see through the Force.
Ooh, some Daredevil shit.
But I also thought that Shirt Imwe from Rogue One might be, but he wasn't. Although he essentially was because he see through the Force, but Mirluka are raised. So
yeah, I see these screenshots. This is cool looking.
So we don't know much more than that. We don't know if Jude Law is necessarily doing a good thing or a bad thing. We're still trying to figure that out. But he is a Jedi. We do know that. We don't know the name. We don't know much. It seems to me from the trailer that this will be aimed to that young adult audience that they write those books for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it will be as hard to swallow as those books because some of those books are just, I hate to say it, I'm so sorry, but they're just not good for me.
Yeah, they're just not, well, they're not for us, and that's okay.
Right.
We're not teenagers, and that's all right.
They're not good for me, so I don't enjoy it. I don't think without saying the reaction of the show will be the same because there is a difference between reading a book and watching a show.
Most definitely.
And if I watch all of the animated stuff, I have a feeling I will get into this. I'm very interested to see what the point of the show is. I don't fully understand it yet, but it comes out this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have much longer to wait. It's probably, again, that fall, winter, and then they'll probably nail down a date for us in at D23. So that'll be when we get the final air date.
Bryce Dallas Howard was confirmed as one of the directors for this as well. So it'll be a multi-director series.
That's the way to do it. And Bryce is probably our favorite director from Mandalorian.
Man, she's just crushing it, dude.
And Rick, I love Rick's episodes too. Just don't bring Robert Rodriguez back, please.
Man, it's just like he just does. I don't want to talk badly about him because like I feel like he's done good things, but his Disney compared to everybody else, his presence as a director in the show just wasn't as great as others because like there are like I feel like everyone left their mark and his was just kind of like I didn't like those, which kind of sucked because I feel like everybody had like their own little special tone that they put into it, and he just never really delivered.
For me, it was always the episodes.
Yeah, exactly. It was just kind of like they weren't very memorable. But like Bryce Dallas Howard, I could like her first episode when he goes crashing into the water and like they're pulling it out with the crane and stuff. Like I'll remember that. You know, like that was very memorable for me. Anyways,
Paul, who directed this episode of Mandalorian? If you could look that up, that'd be great. Tales of the Jedi is getting a season 2.
Yes, volume.
Not much to say aside from the fact that Tales of the Jedi is getting a season 2. Tales of the Jedi, if you did not watch it, they're very short. They're 10 minutes an episode. I think you can watch the whole thing in an hour. But they're so good.
Deborah Chow did this episode. Fuck yeah, dude. That's why I felt like Obi-Wan.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say the combat.
It was like it felt very Obi-Wan-esque.
I feel like they always go to Deborah for combat ones. So Tales of the Jedi season 1, so good. You get to see
young Dooku
when Qui-Gon meets Maul on Tatooine in Phantom of the Menace. You get to see Yaddle and what happens to Yaddle.
Yeah.
You get to see Ahsoka's kind of post Clone Wars journey before we see her again in Rebels. Just piece of it. You also get to see Ahsoka's not her birth itself, but Ahsoka as a baby. So they're just good stories. They don't need to be made into these huge, picture television shows or anything. They're just stories that fill in some awesome blanks, and they're literally 10 minutes long. It is well worth your time to pop them on for an hour. Even if you're a casual Star Wars fan, my wife loved them. She thought they were great because we watched them with Hunter, and she does not like any of the other animated stuff. And she was like, the Ahsoka one where she was a baby was probably one of the coolest cartoons I've ever seen. And then we used the one where Anakin was training Ahsoka.
Yeah.
To teach my son not to give up. And that's what he said to me in the car when he, after his Taekwondo, when he couldn't break the board and he finally broke it, he was like, yeah, just like Ahsoka. So they're really good. They're just really good episodes. Also, that one's terribly sad because the end of it, when
So
she opens
sad,
the door
dude.
with her and Rex.
It's just Order 66 all over again.
Oh God, they're obsessed
He doesn't
with me.
let go, dude.
Yeah, we just get to relive the trauma over and over again.
Constantly.
Although now we've finally had a good Order 66 moment with Ahmed Best. God, I want to know more about that, and I know they're not wrapping up that story this season. that's bothering me. So Tales of the Jedi season 2, no release window. Are there any stories that you would want to see from anybody specifically, Tim?
Honestly, I didn't know that I needed a Dooku backstory, but I really enjoyed that. Honestly, I'm just like I'm down for whatever they throw at us at this point.
I'd love a Plagueis Palpatine. I love Palpatine meeting Maul. Stuff like that. I want a little bit of that. And then on the Jedi side, I mean, maybe like a side adventure with what's our good friend, the Quinlan Voss.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
There's
little stuff,
I agree. You know? Yeah, there's a lot of things they could do. Or like Plo Koon, like.
You mean the greatest Jedi ever?
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, yeah.
My man's alive out there somewhere.
Oh, here we go. We're gonna get the Mace Windu alive story. It's like how he.
Oh my God! It's gonna be.
It's gonna.
Mace hurtling to the ground with one arm.
Yeah,
and then
that's gonna be it.
Him. He's just gonna be like, "I'm about to break a motherfucker."
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm gonna hate everything about it.
He's gonna hit the ground, Tim, and stop. And then he's just gonna get up. Oh hell no!
I'll be back.
Anakin, you bitch. Oh man. Andor season 2 is confirmed, and it's coming August of next year, which is a lot sooner than I thought it would. Now, granted, Andor was originally supposed to come out in August last year and it came out in October. So don't hold your breath on that one. But
one way out.
We also saw there was a trailer for that too that they showed, which I was shocked that they were able to already have a trailer. So they're moving along quickly with that. Now, obviously, it's probably mostly from completely unedited footage, but
a lot of that was like just B footage that they just threw together for sure. I didn't even think there was a lot of VFX that was in there. So
no, what were your big takeaways from that one?
From Andor? I mean, like we've already like started talking about stuff like that because we saw like they were already filming in Spain. I mean, like it's gonna be this is gonna be the last season, so this is gonna be the last 12 episodes, and this is gonna bring us right to the doorsteps of Rogue One. So we're
meeting K2 this season.
We're gonna see K2SO, but it's just gonna be all of it. We're probably gonna see more about Project Starlight and Stardust. We're gonna get Stardust more. Like we'll start hearing more whispers of the Death Star. So yeah, I mean, like it's just gonna be a lot of just continuing to build up that base that takes us to Rogue One. I'm excited for it.
And we saw again, Mon Mothma's got a lot going on. I think the daughter was in what I would assume is a wedding situation.
I mean, like we know that they were getting ready to marry her off anyways.
Yeah. So just confirming little stuff like that. And obviously we saw Luthen in there too. There was some new Imperial characters. Also, the way the new Imperial guy was narrating the trailer, and so that everyone's fighting their own revolution, which was kind of the theme of the trailer. We saw ISB again.
Yeah, that's another thing that I'm super excited for is for them to continue building up. They even mentioned ISB in today's episode for Mando, which I thought was great. So like giving more just contextual like visualization of the ISB and like what they're doing as far as like in the Empire, because the ISB is really, really cool. And there's some really cool characters that have come out of the ISB. So hopefully we'll continue expanding on that.
Yeah, same writers from season 1, a few new directors, but they're bringing the old directors back from season 1 as well. So again, this is another one I think at D23 we'll get a little bit more information on in a more fleshed out trailer, because it seemed like, again, I was excited to see it, but at the same time, it felt like they just needed to get this out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Moving along. 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi will be in theaters April 28th. I cannot find a
Crazy.
theater near us that has it.
That doesn't surprise me, but it's still crazy to think that was 40 years ago. Like we're all like, I'm almost as old as Return of the Jedi. You're as old as Return of the Jedi.
I am as old as Return of the Jedi. Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The
Like
new
Star Wars has been
poster.
around for that long. Ah, so good.
I want
dude.
it. If you could like just kind of plant that next time you see my wife, that thought in her head that I want that poster.
Okay.
Just plant it. Just the seed.
That's your birthday present? Is that what you want?
Sure.
Okay.
I just want it. I don't care when I get it.
I need to look at it. I'm looking for it right now. I mean, like the original Return of the Jedi poster, I mean, like looks so good.
It's in I think I put a link in there.
I was looking at the show notes. I didn't see it, but I'll keep looking.
Oh, you know what? Scroll down on the main Volk page. It's down there.
Ah.
I accidentally linked the main page again. Yeah, it's right under Andor.
Oh my god, that looks so good.
I told you.
Oh my god, that's so good.
I told you.
Wow, that's a really, really good poster. Oh my god, that's well done. Wow. Okay. Yep, make it 2. We need 2 of those. That looks really good. I hope they do that for all 4 or all 3 of them. What they do? Have they rolled out like remade posters for the other ones? Because that is damn good.
I don't know. I don't remember, but that one's just awesome.
Yeah, that's a good one. Shit.
Yeah, I want that.
All right. I want that.
High Republic Phase 3. No one was surprised that they announced this.
No.
The surprise was we're going back to the timeline we were in Phase 1.
Yay, which is what I wanted because it got so confusing.
Yay, but if you want to see that Drengir I was talking about, click on the link for it. It's the first picture. It's called the Night of Sorrow. And in the reflection of the Drengir's eyes are 2 Jedi. And
Holy crap, that's terrifying. He looks like Cthulhu.
Right? This feels like an evolved like Drengir Death Lord or something.
Yeah, very visceral.
So we're going back. So I'm assuming because the whole point of where we are now seems to be the leveler. I can't really take anything else from it. Frankly, Phase 2 has been boring.
Pretty dry.
Yeah. Aside from the Iram and Arano wedding stuff, which now they've deviated from. It was one of the best like read scenes in Star Wars literature was the wedding itself. But after that, it's just kind of been like, okay, now what? Yeah. I don't want to say I'm starting not to care, but I'm losing interest, but I'm sticking to it. So
I'm not really excited to listen to what is it? Not Convergence. What's the next one?
Cataclysm.
Have you started that one?
I have because the other Tales, the Jedi Battle Scars book, is a little too racy for Hunter. So when we're in the car listening to it, we listen to Cataclysm.
Yeah, Battle Scars is another one where I'm like, huh. And a lot of people have also felt that same way. They're like, I don't know why I needed to listen to this or read it. So,
yeah. Also, Marin's the main character, not Cal.
Which is so strange.
Yeah. Why call it Jedi Battle Scars then? You should have just made it a Marin book.
They should have said Marin's Battle Scars.
Fine. Totally fine. I still would have read it and had the same exact reaction, but it shouldn't be called Jedi. Anyway. So the titles for Phase 3, which start on October of 2023 and finish in March of 2024. Keep in mind, this includes kids' books and young adult novels. So this is not all big books. November is The Eye of Darkness. That sounds like it's Marchion Ro focused.
Most definitely.
Escape from Valo, January 2024. Defy the Storm, no release date. Temptation of the Force. The Storm obviously will be Nihil again. Temptation of the Force, summer 2024. Man, Tim, that sounds like it's right up your alley.
That's gonna be some edgy, dark stuff.
Also, that was a typo. It finishes in March 2025. Yeah.
Oh, 2025. Okay, that makes more. I was like, that's a lot of books in a short amount of time.
Trials of the Jedi is spring 2025. Into the Light is release date undisclosed. Beware the Nameless. That's got Drengir written all over it.
Do you think this is going to bring us to Acolyte?
No, because Acolyte will have been out already.
No, but I mean, like, do you think like it like by the end of phase 3, it'll be a nice like let off point to go into Acolyte?
There was an Acolyte character on the character list that I saw that was in the novels,
Okay,
so I
cool.
would assume it'll start to just bring these people to life.
Kind of Venn diagram it.
Yep.
Got it.
So beware the nameless, and then the last one is A Valiant Vow for spring 2025. Comic titles are Chronicles from the Occlusion Zone,
Uh-huh.
October 2023. Another High Republic series, 13 plus issues for December of 2023, and then a Dark Horse High Republic Adventures for December of 2023.
Oh wow.
So I need to get back on the comics. I've been
You gotta get
lazy
in the
about
comics. Remember
those.
that you showed me a picture of what looks to be some ethereal being
Oh,
that
that was
looks
from the current
terrifying.
timeline, the Star Weirds.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. I was
that
like, I
was
just need to get back into the comics because that looks really, really interesting.
yeah, the Star Weird. I think the Star Weirds are Dr. Afra.
It's in the Dr. Aphra stuff. So that's going on in the Skywalker saga.
Yep.
So that
Yep.
that looks sick.
Cool. So we'll see. We're wrapping up phase 2. When we finish Cataclysm, Tim and I will talk about Cataclysm. But right now, the phase 3 starts at the end of this year in October. So
I'm just glad
cool.
we're going back.
Moving along. Visions Volume 2 got a trailer. Looks awesome. It's
so
all new studios. I don't think any of this. I think maybe 2 of the studios returned.
I thought they said it was all 8 brand new studios that were doing
Is it
this.
all new? Okay.
I'm
then
pretty
it's
sure it was all
all new
they said
studios.
8 new studios, I'm pretty sure, in that trailer.
June.
Yeah, we get claymation Star Wars, which I was super excited for.
Yeah, that was shocking.
I was
Also,
like, oh man, it's like Chicken Run.
that Sith in the beginning, that animation
Yes.
reminded me of. Did you ever watch Love, Death, and Robots?
No. But
So Love, Death, and Robots is an anthology show. It's kind of like Twilight Zone, where the episodes have nothing to do with each other.
Sure.
It's each same concept, each individual artist. There was an animation style in there that looks exactly like this Sith that walks out in the beginning.
This animation style is also very much like Into the Spider-Verse. It's that same style.
Yeah. So also that Sith's lightsaber looks like a claymore, and it's awesome. Is that, call me crazy, but does that look like Padme in the trailer?
It fights?
No, right at like 19 seconds, the second part.
Hold on. The look. There's claymation. I don't see it at 19 seconds. It's still the girl fighting the oh. Yeah, no, because when she pulls out farther, she pulls out her lightsaber, and that's her.
How do you know, though? It's Visions.
I know, but I mean, like, it's not. But it's Visions is different from.
I know.
I'm
just being an ass.
You are being an ass.
Yeah, the claymation one was interesting.
She's got a freaking katana, Kevin. Like her sword, her lightsaber. Like this is going in. Like, this looks like it pulls off from Ronin. Like she's got a katana. Like it's got an arc to it. It could be more Ronin like universe stuff.
Did you see the one with the monks like walking?
Yes.
With red.
There's also like this. Like I love the anime stuff that they've really pulled in. Like it's very manga-esque. Like it's very, very cool. I'm excited for all these. All look really interesting, very unique, very fun.
There's one that
like Visions was good, but this is like this. They just ramped up to 11.
There's one that seems to have like an Indian Pakistani feel that you see a couple clips from. And Alex actually posted a still of one of them, and it looks, like he's an Inquisitor with 2 Purge troopers next to him.
Yeah,
it's at 112 if you want to look. So yeah, it's just there's.
I see that. Oh yeah, they look just like Purge troopers from Jedi
It's
Fallen
just
Order.
fun. It's just like a fun playground.
Yeah, just fun stuff you can throw around, which is really cool.
So June, so all of the episodes come out at the same. Also, there's a Wookiee with a binky in its mouth, baby Wookiee. So we will. Wait, it says on May 4th.
Yeah, it's May the 4th.
I thought it was June.
No. This comes out on May the 4th. So does the new kid animated stuff.
Yeah, Young Jedi Adventures.
Young Jedi Adventure comes out on May the 4th. It's May the 4th is gonna be packed, Kevin.
Well, May the 4th be with us always. So yeah, we'll cover that because all those episodes drop that day. So we'll cover that on May the 4th. Is it what day of the week is that?
That is next month.
A Thursday.
It is a Thursday.
So just so you know, you're probably getting like a Thursday or Friday episode that week. Chat.
You may just get a special May the 4th episode.
We're gonna watch all of them live on Tim's Facebook channel. It's his final Facebook stream.
Yeah, this will be my farewell to the internet as I get DMCA'd into the ground
and sued by the mouse.
May the Force be with you. And then we got the which no surprise here, but Bad Batch getting announced for its final season 3, which makes a lot of sense. Kevin and I feel like we're saying that a lot through season 2 of like, this feels like there's not much left to talk about. They're kind of running out of ideas. Like all of season 2 felt like this run on of like ancillary adventures that really had no type of connection to the main overarching story that we thought Bad Batch was trying to tell. So I really hope they clean that up in season 3 and we get to kind of just like give them a fond farewell. It's like, man, Bad Batch is really cool. They're all dead now. Like that's what's gonna like. I feel like everyone's just either gonna die or they're gonna go live off in Pabu and just be happily, being clones there for forever.
Bad Batch, the final season, tech returns.
The vacation on Pabu.
It's just one episode of summarizing the story, and then 15 episodes of them just doing stuff on Pabu.
Rackers on the beach. Oh, I love the beach. Omega, let's go fishing.
Where's the nude side of this beach, eh?
Hunter, get my back.
Tim, it's time.
Oh shit! This is
Star Wars Celebrations is in Japan in 2025.
We already mentioned that.
That's it. That's all we got. That's everything else.
We're going to Tokyo.
Actually, we're going to Mandalore right now. Woo!
Oh my God, Kevin.
All right. So very early on in this episode, we learn that the spy is on Coruscant. TK, I forget what they said their name was. TK, whatever.
TK bitch face.
That's the one.
That's her.
Is in fact working for Gideon.
No shit. You what? No way, Kevin.
Gideon escaped the New Republic trial.
What? Is this where Kevin says I was right and he had an entire fleet of Imperial Mandalorians just sitting there on Mandalore?
Okay, can we talk about that for a second? If they were Imperial Mandalorians, they are out of practice.
They were not Imperial Mandalorians.
No,
they were
troopers.
They were basic ass troopers inside Beskar armor.
They were troopers like trying to be Mandalorians. Those were not Mandos. They got cut up.
But we'll get to that point in a second. So we know that Gideon never made it to trial. We know that bitch face was working for him the entire time, which we knew because as soon as she melted Dr. Pershing's brain, I think we all kind of knew it was like, she is evil from the get-go. We then find out that we get everybody on to the what's the planet we're on? Navarro. So we get all the Mandalorians to Navarro, which Bo's fleet looks awesome. Like
before that,
what'd I miss?
Gideon talking to a bunch of other people from
that's right.
The Shadow Council.
We want to talk about the Shadow Council now. Okay.
If you read the Aftermath books, you know what's happening here.
Yes.
And you know some of those people in that conversation.
And this is what Kevin and I have been talking about for like 2 years now.
But god damn it, there's no Sloane because I forgot she left and she's on Jakku right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, they're going to show Sloane. And I'm like, no, they're not.
No,
she's gone. She left.
You have to play Squadron. If you play Squadron, you know what's going on. And if you read Aftermath, you know even more what's going on.
So we meet Commandant Hux, who is General Hux from the sequel series' father.
It's his daddy.
Yeah, he doesn't sound like Mark portrayed him in Aftermath. Well, I think they're going a little bit of a different direction with the character. That doesn't matter. I don't care. And Mark has said it's usually his responsibility to make up the voice on the spot. So he says, my goal is to make them sound different, not necessarily what they're going to sound like if it's not an established character. So completely fine. But we do meet Commandant Hux, who is kind of an ass. I also want to know if that's Commandant Hux moving forward, how does that guy get so much tail? Because all they talk about is how he's like a philandering and cheats on his wife and has like bastard children and stuff. He's not that good looking, Tim.
No, but I mean, like, I think they kind of nailed the look though, because if you look at Hux,
Hmm.
The guy who plays in Harry Potter,
Yeah.
he looks very close. Like they could be related, and he
Yeah.
seems to be more of a logistics kind of guy right now, as far as like he's like, oh, you give me orders and then I send you stuff that you need. So, but now we fully understand where those bombers and where the TIE interceptors came from, and why they were able to get to Bo's palace so quickly.
Right.
And
Um.
they were there the whole time, which is just crazy to think about. Yeah, but they which I thought was really interesting, and this is the part again where I get really confused with the writing in Aftermath, the writing of the new Thrawn books, and then also the Heir to the Empire storyline, is that the Shadow Council, they are very much so full of themselves. They are very much so like, you know, if we like, there's no way that they're going to get onto us as long as we play safe. You know, we need to continue making it seem like we're just a bunch of just isolated warmongers, that we aren't really trying to rebuild the empire, which I thought was really cool that they laid that out like that, like they did in Aftermath very well. Of like, you've got all of these admirals and whatnot that are the Moffs, that they're all kind of off doing their own thing, but they're all doing it together at the same time. It's very coordinated. But this
Yes.
is the part where I get really confused, is that they are waiting for Thrawn. And they talk about that at the end of Aftermath. You know, like, we'll go out to
Oh,
where they think Thrawn is, because for some reason, and this is the part where I just don't understand. At the in the Thrawn books, if you read the new trilogy, not the one about the ascendancy, but the actual, like, when Thrawn comes into the Empire, if you read those books, all of the admirals, all of the higher ups, they all hate Thrawn. They see him as a threat. They don't respect him. They try to get him out of the Navy multiple times, and every time they try to out him, he continues to progress up the ranks. So he why is now the point at which they think he is a savior, whereas before they hated him?
there was an emperor before. The emperor has fallen. I'm sure that has them all shook to the core because the emperor was supposed to be infallible. Vader's gone. I think. Do they know? They don't know what happened to Vader, right? Vader just
No,
kind of
they know that he
disappears
died. They assume he died on Death Star
in
2.
the Death Star. So Vader's gone and Palpatine's gone. Who was next in line,
It was
essentially?
Thrawn.
So
But
at
they
this
all
point,
hated him. But that's still
they can
my
still hate
issue.
him, but they can still hate him, but he's their best option to stay alive
Hmm.
because they know if they go back to the Republic, they're going to get prosecuted for war crimes
They even said the people we have sympathizers everywhere. They're already tired of the New Republic, and that
because
was
they're trying
definitely
to
made clear,
regain
because the
power.
New Republic, all that they do is that they essentially just they copy the Empire, but they just with a new coat of paint. You know, it's all smiles instead of angry faces, but it's still the
Right.
Empire.
Right. And it's all the fascist principles that the Empire represents are still prevalent there. But the biggest thing is that Thrawn is their best chance at survival and the best chance at survival of the Empire. So even if you don't like the guy, you probably should follow him because he's a master tactician. He's the best hope you have of regaining control. And then you can worry about who's going to be in charge.
I
That's the
just
way I see it.
I want to know, and hopefully we get this cleared up in Ahsoka with like a flashback or something. But how did he go from losing everything to then all of a sudden becoming, you know, this whisper that everybody knows is going to come back? But
And
Gideon even
then
calls him out on that. They're like, you're waiting all this time for Thrawn to show up, and where is he? Why isn't he a part of
right.
the Shadow Council? So it's a big question mark still.
And Thrawn is probably gonna be the one that kills Gideon. Um,
That would be intense.
he's going to do it. So when it comes to Thrawn 2, you have to remember is that Thrawn, he's always 4 steps ahead of everybody.
Always.
So he knows that they're all squabbling and who doesn't like him and who, because if he has spies in the Republic, you don't think he has spies with each and every one of these Moffs, admirals, and commanders? Like, come on. Thrawn knows exactly what's going on. He knows the conversations that are taking place. He knows who's going to support him. He knows who he can use to his end means. And if his end means is serving the Chiss in whatever way, shape, or form he needs to, and this all means that the Chiss is coming into the Star Wars anime or the Star Wars universe, great, cool, awesome. But that is why they will follow him, is because he is their best chance at regaining control of the universe, of the galaxy.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see, is Ahsoka going to be the introduction of like the Grisk? you know, as like I still fervently believe that Thrawn is accumulating all this wealth and power to fight the Grisk. And so like that's really what I hope this all culminates to, is that like the antithesis of Ahsoka will be the introduction of the Grisk Empire, and what does Thrawn, and like how do we go about fighting them off? Because like they're a huge piece that isn't in any of the cinematic stuff, but it's very heavy in literature. And so like I really hope that we get to see them, because we constantly talking about Yuzan Vong and Grisk and stuff. It's just like that's going to be a really cool part, and it makes a lot of sense with what he's doing. But yeah, Thrawn was a big heavy piece, but I'm really surprised they didn't show him. They are still holding on to that chip.
We'll see. But that's what we get from that opening scene. And again, this is what I mean by the link between the New Republic and the end of episode 6. Like everything is starting to like weave together. And
yeah, dude.
I guess that's what Filoni's.
Necromancer.
Oh my God.
And they just
know what that is.
Yeah, no, Project Necromancer is is after
Snoke.
Yeah, it's Snoke. It's after what was the Operation Inferno, when they go and they burn everything to the ground.
Oh, Burning Kanya.
Operation Cinder. That was what it was called. Operation Cinder. And then after that, now we have Project Necromancer, which would make sense. You kill everything and then you raise it from the dead, right. Which is pretty sick.
Project Necromancer to me means Snoke.
Most definitely.
The only other thing it could mean is what oh my God, what's his name? Hemlock was working on, which would be the Death Troopers. But at this point, the Death Troopers have already been established, so I don't really see it. Necromancer to me literally means like
zombies.
That's Snoke. We're trying to reanimate, which means that they all know.
So here's the other issue that I have with this, though, is that so when he walks through the doors and you see the Beskar armored stormtroopers, and then you go farther, and then you've got the vats of the dark stuff that's in, like, it's just silhouettes. We don't know what's in those vats, but that's the stuff that was on Navarro that he moved to Mandalore. Which is still mind-blowing to me, that he built an entire complex in Mandalore and nobody knew about it. But that's how he was able to that's how he was able to go to Concordia and bomb Katie to the ground. So yeah, it's just nuts that how all of this was like under their noses the entire time. But I would love to know, is the stuff in the vat, is that a part of Necromancer, or is that a part of his Dark Trooper program? Because like he's now coming out as like, I have the perfect Dark Trooper now. It's all made out of Beskar and I'm inside of it.
So the highest we got in Legends was Phase 3, which is the Dark Troopers we saw in last season of Mandalorian. He's saying he basically achieved Phase 4, but now Phase 4 is going to be piloted by Organic. Am I wrong?
So no, you're right. And that's what I'm thinking what those vats are for. I'm thinking the dead shit. I think Necromancer is bringing zombies. It's bringing all the dead guys, and you're putting them inside the Dark Trooper armor.
So, which goes back to a few things. One, the Death Trooper idea that we can create zombies who will, that could have been Phase 1 of that, and this could be the next phase of it.
Oh my God! Do you think Season 3 of the Bad Batch is going to be is Hemlock pulling up V1 of the Death Trooper program, and that's how it's going to connect it? Ooh, I love that.
There's about a 20-year gap there, so it would make perfect sense.
I love that because it takes the Snoke part out, and I've never liked that.
But it also leads to what we said about, remember the Halloween thing, the Project Blackhawk that we looked up, and it is canon, which is the Stormtrooper virus that breaks out. To me, this sounds like it's all connected. And I just got to the part, I don't know if you're up to this with Battle Scars, where Marin raises the...
I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay, so she does the thing that she does.
Yeah, she does evil magic. Sick.
So, Star Wars is very, very into necromancy. So let's just ride it that way, whether it's scientific or it's magical. Like, hey, we're bringing the dead back.
Zombies. So
it could all be connected at the end of the day, and it could all lead to what Snoke is, which would make Snoke a much more interesting character. Yes. And lead to where and again, what is the ultimate goal, Tim, at the end of all of this? Obviously, is to resurrect our emperor and make sure that his spirit has a host. And we know how that ends, is they cannot build a physical corporeal form to house his essence because he's so seeped in the force and the dark side that it just can't handle it, which is why we get like spider crawly weird back brace Emperor Palpatine in episode 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's happening with the Imperials. And Gideon continues to be an asshole. And again, even if Thrawn doesn't kill him, Tim, he's gonna put him in his place.
Almost definitely. If he doesn't die by like Bo-Katan's hand or Din's hand, I think Thrawn's gonna show. I mean, like, I feel like it would be right for one of the Mandalorians to end up taking him out because of all of the shit that he's put those people through. But yeah, I definitely think season 3 or season 4 of Mando is going to be really interesting. And we know that Mando is coming to an end as well. That was confirmed during Celebration. They're like, this is also going to come to an end because of Filoni's movie that he's bringing to the table. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of wrap all this story up.
And an end doesn't mean an end to the story. It means an end to the series. Like all these characters exist in this universe. We're not losing them. We're just moving on to the next part of the story. So I'm fine with I'm fine with season 4 being the end of Mandalorian if that's the case. Like I'm totally okay with that because we'll just move on to the next story we have to tell. Last thing on the Empire stuff. My theory, since next week is the last episode, is that the Gideon will lose the battle on Mandalore. They will retake Mandalore. We won't see them rebuilding or anything yet. We'll just, like flag in the ground. So, like I said a few weeks ago, the Iwo Jima moment where it's like, God, we did it.
Yeah.
Now, the scene after the credits, I think, will be Thrawn putting Gideon in his place, and that is why they did not want us to see his face at Celebration. Was because that's the big reveal, and they'll say, see the next part of this story or the next chapter or whatever comes in Ahsoka or see Grand Admiral Thrawn again. And like again, what we said a few weeks ago, Tim, was the Thanos like, fine, I'll do it myself. Moment. Like that is going to be it, and it's going to be either on comms, whatever it may be, but it's going to be Gideon. It's going to be one of the second time we've ever seen him scared is going to be Grand Admiral Thrawn addressing him because, like you said,
he's going to be dead, and Huck shows up and he was like, "Sir, Moff Gideon's dead."
Something like that. But like Thrawn at the end of the day is going to be
definitely. Oh yeah, for sure. There's no way they don't. They need that hook. They have yet to really truly hook us outside of the trailer.
How funny would it be if they stole Thanos' line directly and he's like, fine, I'll do it.
I need that for you because you want that so badly.
I don't care.
No, he needs it. Please, Dave, make it happen real quick.
I don't care. Anyway, so Mandalorian fleet, like you were talking about, just the way who does the paint job?
I don't know. I was thinking about that too. I was like, who gets underneath that light cruiser and paints the Mandalorian logo on it? That must have taken forever.
It took a lot longer for a fight to break out between the two of them than I anticipated.
Yeah, but I'm glad it happened.
Yes, and Grogu's new
yes, no,
stroller.
No, yes. It was so funny. I couldn't stop laughing.
Hunter was laughing so hard. He was like belly laughing at it. But that's once again they nailed it because that's what a child in that situation would do.
Toddlers do.
Walking down the street in Navarro, yes. Yeah, I was like, oh my God. I was like, turn it off.
I literally yelled at the screen. I said, Grogu, stop. Kyler's just laughing.
Grabbing the fruit and like, I'm like, this is exactly what would happen if you gave a child a toy of this magnitude. Yeah. Now, I am a little sad that IG-11 isn't back, but IG-12 is just like
he's a fun upgrade.
Vehicle is hilarious. And it was just a plot device. Like, how do we get Grogu to keep up with them the entire time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you couldn't have his little pod just chasing behind him.
No, it wouldn't have worked in that scenario. So they needed to. And then they had a very good moment with Axe Woves and Paz when he was no. So it was good. Knowing that there's Mandalorians on Mandalore that survived.
That was crazy. I wasn't ready for that.
That was wild. I did not expect that.
But now, I love their ship they had, though. That was so cool.
I said, when the ship pulled up, I said, this is either Hondo's intro or these are Mandalorians. So, but obviously they went to Mandalorian route. It made more sense. We finally understand how it all went down.
Makes a lot.
I'm kind of happy it wasn't a flashback because it was pretty simple to just explain it rather than provide us with a flashback. But essentially, we learned that Bo gave up the Darksaber in surrender to Mandalore to save her people. Now you can see the conflict in everyone's eyes. The Night Owls already knew this, which is why they left her in the first place. And everyone else was surprised and conflicted because on the one hand, did she do the right thing? But on the other hand, the creed is no surrender. You're not
Right.
supposed to surrender as per creed. So it's like,
But she wanted to save her people. Like, I mean, like she did the right thing. I like she did the right thing and the right, and just unfortunately, it was not respected by the other party. Um,
but you know, the
it's
children of the watch are sitting there like, well, this is why we abide by the creed, no surrender.
right, but I mean, like she's also human, you know, like,
Exactly.
and that's the issue is like she was a leader and she's also Mandalorian, and when you are in charge of so many people, you don't want to see them die, children and non-combatants and all those things. It's a real world thing that you know people are thinking about. You know, like trying to surrender to save as many as you can, and still it doesn't work out for you. Like that's got to be as someone like now I can start to understand really why she had all of these feelings towards the Mandalorian, because she felt like she disgraced them. She thought that that they thought that she had given up on them. Where at really truly she paid the ultimate sacrifice. She gave up everything that was hers to save her people, and it was thankless. No one said, "Hey, thanks for trying." Like I know it sucked, but you did your best. No, everyone gave her shit and left her. So like for her moping around, now I understand the mopey Bo-Katan. Like it makes so much more sense. But I love when when she shows up and they're like, is that the voice of Lady Bo? Like I thought that was so cool that like her people still respected her. And then Din giving her an oath, like giving her like saying like, I will serve you until your song is written. Until you die, I will serve you. That was crazy. That was a big moment for our hero, the antagonist or the protagonist of this story has now become not the main character of our story.
No,
and we've talked about that before, Kevin. We have said that the Mandalorian is not just Din Djarin.
Nope.
That this show is about all Mandalorians. And so for the main character, the person that we've been following for 2 seasons is now taking a back seat.
And that moment was poignant because when they were describing what was important to them, what did they say about the watch? They said that honor, that is their main thing.
He said your honor, your character.
But each tribe is going to answer that question differently, and the watch answer with honor, and that is what Paz did at the end. He's like, no, we're not going through this again. Get out of here. You're like, that was the vibe I got from him. Like, you're Mandalore. You need to lead our people. My life is expendable. Boom, door shut.
It was very this episode. It leans very heavy into where Lucas got his inspiration for Star Wars. It was Western and samurai. This was very, very heavy on the Eastern influence on Star Wars. This was very samurai-esque in the sense of sacrifice and honor. Even just some of like the settings, it kind of had that Eastern kind of vibe to it, very Japanese. Like the ship it just had like the Oriental vibe to it. And I just really, really enjoyed all the tones that they used.
I was super excited when I saw all of the jetpacks flying in the distance.
Yeah,
I was right. And then I saw them fighting for like 3 minutes. I was like,
sucked
no,
ass.
This is just troopers wearing Beskar armor with jetpacks and robes. Because if they come out and they're like, no, those are Imperial Mandos, and be like, those they need to go back to school.
Yeah,
they are not. That is not what were they called? Super Commandos and Rebels. Like that's not.
No, those guys were not Mandalorian. I think that point when they're like, oh, they're using Beskar, that goes back to they stripped our planet. And they stripped the planet of all of the Beskar. They took all of the leftover Beskar armor from all of the Mandalorians that they killed. They melted it down and made all of that.
I think Gideon's goal is to like almost make his own little Mandalorian culture and then suck up whatever he has left of the people of Mandalore.
He's got a hard on for that planet for sure.
Yeah, because it's rich in resources, like he said. Obviously, he's still harvesting them if he's still there. And the other Moffs and admirals and whatnot are none the wiser because it's his system. He can do whatever he wants.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think he's trying to emulate them because of who they are and what their culture is. But at the end of the day, you're never going to be that. I mean, Paz proved that he took down half of your army, and it took 3 Praetorian guards to show up to take him out, which was awesome.
It was so awesome. These guys just
You knew they were
out.
coming, though.
Oh,
well, you knew they were
definitely.
coming. He asked for them during the Shadow
3
Council
Praetorians,
meeting.
and then he mows through everybody, and you're like, oh, that was easy. And then these guys show up.
I was like, here they. I before they even showed up, I was like, the Praetorians are going to be the one that take him out, and then boom, they walked out. I was like, oh, he is beyond screwed right now.
Awesome.
In Legends I don't know if it's in canon, but in Legends, they train on back in the day on Malachor 5 in the Sith temples.
Oh shit, that's cool.
And it's like this crazy training that involves like mental manipulation and all of this stuff. That's why they're just sworn servants of whoever the emperor is at that time. But I guess they're getting passed around like a piece of meat right now because there is no leader.
Yeah, the elite Praetorian. So this is just pulled off from
Wikipedia,
from fandom actually. They only have a canon entry. They don't have the EU, but it's just the elite Praetorian Guard were highly trained elite personal bodyguards that protected the supreme leader of the First Order, Snoke. Yeah, so they don't even have the So the Praetorians, the first time we actually see them in canon is when we see them in episode 8. So for them to come with Snoke, right? And so like, there's nothing outside of the Praetorian Guards other than, let's see, did they say where they were trained?
They're an offshoot of the Imperial Guards at the end of the day,
right? Exactly. That you see in episode 6, but like these guys are intense.
And 3 and Clone Wars, we see them in all of it because they're the ones that they're at the end of 3. Remember Yoda does that, and they both drop to the ground.
Oh, you're right, but those guys weren't badass. Those were just like they were just guards. They didn't seem. Yeah, they just didn't seem like badass. Like
it's also Yoda.
That's true.
And then they're also the ones who guard Palpatine in the blue armor throughout Clone Wars. It's them.
Yes,
they just change over to the Imperial Guards in the later ones, and then the Praetorians are born later.
True.
Which the Praetorians look cooler. Don't at me. They do. Sorry, they're cooler and they have cooler weapons. So yeah, I guess then the question becomes: we're getting a space battle next week.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's going to be a big space battle. Gideon doesn't really have a ship anymore because they have his ship.
Yeah.
So is it just going to be a Star Destroyer and all of the Mandalorian light cruisers not cruisers, whatever they are, versus a bunch of bombers and TIE fighters?
I mean, like we don't know if he has another ship, because he might actually have a Star Destroyer, but he might have lost his light cruiser, but a Star Destroyer showing up is definitely not out of the question. I mean, like if we want a Star
Destroyer showing up,
I mean, if we want Thrawn's Chimera to show up, I mean, like but at the same time, the bridge that we see in the Ahsoka trailer is definitely not the bridge of the Chimera. So like, I don't know. I have no idea, but I don't think the Chimera is destroyed. I think the Chimera is still there. Do we ever see it after Rebels?
Not that I've seen it.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I'm very intrigued, but I mean, like Thrawn could show up at the last episode. We were Ahsoka is supposed to show up, right?
We think. We're not sure.
Right. There was a nod that Ahsoka could show up, or like there was a rumor that she's supposed to show up in one of the final episodes of Mando. So,
Paul, is there a runtime for next week's episode yet? Can you look that up? Yeah, I don't. I mean, Hux could show up. Like anyone from the Shadow Council.
The Shadow Council could just show up. I mean, like he might. I don't know. I really don't know because we've got Moff Gideon in this dark trooper armor. It's all made out of Beskar. It's robotic. It's an exoskeleton. So he's kind of become invulnerable. Like he's kind of he's the super bad boss at the end. Like right, if we're gonna video game this, like he is definitely the final boss battle at the end of next week's episode. But it's like how do we get there? Like what is everyone gonna fight against to kind of get to that last scene?
Did you notice his helmet has the same horns that the armor?
I noticed that, dude. I noticed that so quickly, and I'm so torn. I don't know what that means.
I mean, it could go back to what the theory is that the armor is Rook, and she still serves the Empire.
I don't know, dude. I mean, like, so what I was waiting for was she.
I would hate that because of everything the armor has done to unite Mandalore. It would make no sense. And if the whole point was like, oh, I just want to get you all in one place so we could kill you, I would not. That would kind of kill a lot for me.
I agree with you, but I mean, like, maybe that was the plan all along, was that Gideon needed an agent to bring all of the Mandalorians together to then bring them to one place so he could have the ultimate extinction. Like, that's the, like, I mean, like, that could work out really, really well. But I did notice the horns, but they did mention Death Watch multiple times in this episode. And so I wonder if that is a nod. His helmet is a nod actually to Death Watch and to the way that Maul's forces looked before they fell to the clones.
It could just be an aesthetic choice too.
It could be. It just really shows evil Mandalorian when they have the horns like that.
Not even that, but the juxtaposition between the armorer who's on the side of
her
people versus him who's trying to emulate them and create this whole, other Mandalorian society. But I don't know. We'll. I wonder too if the troopers like took training to like fight like Mandalorians, but they just you're not Mandalorian. So
I'm gonna hold on to that. They were just reserve troopers that just got thrown into Mandalorian armor
because they were using the ropes and all the other stuff, the cables and
they were just getting shot out of the air though. I mean, like, they were like hand-to-hand combat. They were getting destroyed. So I mean, like, it was kind of silly to watch them just get torn through. Like, it really did just look like flying stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Even though they had Beskar armor, like, they were still getting punched through the soft spots. Like, it was the Mandalorian, even the Night Owls and the Children of the Watch, like, they were far more trained than those guys ever were.
Yeah. So
it was a great episode. I mean, like, from start to finish, there was so much stuff. I think just the Shadow Council alone was so important to the overall just development of this story, because, like we've been saying for the last couple of years, if you want to start learning what happens with the Empire and the New Republic and everything that happens after episode 6, you've got to read the Aftermath books, because this paints like a beautiful picture to take us into what they're doing in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm just like, it is so cool to see this all hit the screen.
And we know that a lot of, again, we don't, if they all know if Project Necromancer is what we said it is, then that means they all know. But we know that at least some of them know what's going on Jakku, especially the one guy. Who's the one guy that's like the Sith loving one? You know what I'm talking about.
It's been a while, but yeah.
Him. I don't know who's who. I'm sure Alex by noon will have figured out each person's name, background, and coordinated them to Aftermath. So I'll wait for Star Wars Explained to put that out. But the knowledge that now, again, I just want to know what Project Necromancer is, because then we can kind of continue to theorize. But the knowledge of what they're trying to do for the Emperor being out there like that. And if it was top secret, why would they say it in front of the entire council was my other thing.
I mean, like, those are some of the highest officials that are left.
They are the highest.
And so, I mean, like, that is it when it comes to the Empire. When it comes to the leadership of the Empire, like, that is it. So for them, see, that's the crazy part too, is because Operation Cinder was designed in a way to create the idea that the Emperor still lived. Like the cyborgs that had like the Emperor's face, those were all designed to kind of like trick people into thinking that the Emperor was still alive. Mm-hmm. So like I'm very confused as to like why, like, they tricked all these leaders into thinking that he was still alive, and then now they're talking about Necromancer. So it will be very interesting to see, like, is that really the cloning project that brings forth Snoke, or is it really just is it really going to be like the Death Troopers? I really hope it's like the Death Trooper stuff. I really hope we start getting into like zombies and that's gonna be really, really cool. But I think you're right though, Kevin. I think it ties into Clone Wars. I think it ties into Bad Batch. I think that's really gonna help usher all that stuff in, because then we have the basis. We understand where it came from now. We're getting so close. We're so close between Pershing and Hemlock. Like, we are about to have like all of those answers.
And create some new questions, I'm assuming.
Because did you hear what he said where they were talking about Pershing? Is like his his studies and his research was lost for now.
Yeah.
So it's still out there somewhere.
Yeah. And we know he's not dead, so.
Well, we assume he's dead. Or just fried.
Yeah.
He might just be drooling in a corner somewhere.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. They could just cut his brain out and put it in a droid and try and figure things out from there.
In Star Wars, that could happen.
It can happen. It does. It happens. So we'll see. We'll see how that, unless he's like brain dead, that also could be the problem.
That's what I'm thinking. I think he's just drooling in a corner.
Well, that concludes our 2-hour episode. Of
Oh my
Star
God.
Wars Scotch. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you just got to have a special, and this was
so much Star
like
Wars, dude.
Star Wars Christmas. We couldn't not. So, thank you if you hung out for the whole ride. We appreciate you. We went over everything. We'll be back next week for the conclusion of season 3 of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. And then I think the next big touch point for us is let's look
Survivor.
Survivor and May the 4th week. So we'll let you know about the episodes with visions and everything. We might want to change that release date. I will say this, Tim and I are taking the week of the 24th off. So there will be no episode that week. So we'll be back for the conclusion next week. Tim and I are off. The week Survivor comes out essentially.
Yep.
So there'll be no episode that week, and then we'll be back for the first week of May for an episode. So we're taking a week off. It's been a few months since we've taken time off. And then in between shows, Tim and I are just going to try and take a week off every so often just to, make sure we're not overdoing it and getting you all the best Star Wars news we possibly can and packing these episodes. But again, we thank you so much for your support. Make sure you go hang out with Tim. Tim, what are you playing today? Enlisted?
We'll find out, Kevin. But we've played a lot of free-to-play games. World War II has been the theme on the channel, so it's been super fun. So come hang out, fb.gg/darkness429. It's darkness429 everywhere. You can follow Kevin on Instagram, on Twitter. He's KMagic101 or KevinXVision on all the places. Or you can go check him out on raredrop.co for all the cool stuff we do at Raredrop. GCXevent.com, all the stuff that GCX is essentially Kevin's brainchild along with Mindy and all the other amazing people we have at the GCX team. So big thank you to you guys for just crushing it. It's going to be an exciting year. GCXevent.com for all GCX news. Am I missing anything?
It's just rate, review, subscribe on all the Star Wars episodes. If you want to follow us for Star Wars Scotch everywhere, all platforms. And thank you for all the new followers on TikTok, by the way.
Nice
to meet you.
Hey.
But we will see you next week for the conclusion of Mandalorian. And until then,
may the Force be with you. Nice.